yellow.
Get them all fired up.
All right, good Sunday morning, everybody. It's Championship Sunday. It's the 2024 OHSAA Boys State Basketball Championships. We've had a great couple of days of semifinal action, but now it's time to start crowning some state champions. Division 4 is where we'll start off with Berlin Highland getting set to take on Richmond Heights. Justin Kinner with you here, and again, we welcome you into our OHSAA tip-off pregame coverage before we send it down to the floor to the OHSAA radio network, where we'll get things started here this morning. Of course, the one, the only Mr. George Coach Howard hanging out with us here this morning. In fact, you're going to be hanging out with us all day long as we get you set for the top state matchups throughout the day and then recapping all the great action as well. I'm excited for today. George, Championship Sunday, we're off and rolling here.
I mean, what better way to start the morning off with Berlin Highland, who had a great win the other day, and Richmond Heights, who's premier power in the state in Division 4. What a tough test for Berlin Highland, but when you look throughout the day and you look at how some of these teams got here, which we'll talk about throughout the day, it's going to be an incredible day of state championship basketball, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, the one thing with so many great teams throughout the state of Ohio, so many teams throughout the state of Ohio, it's very tough to cover all of them. And it's always great when we have reliable beat reporters who do such a good job covering some of the top teams in the entire state. And that's why we're excited to welcome in Kurt Stubbs. Kurt, you do a great job. Introduce yourself. Tell everybody what outlets you're with, and welcome to Championship Sunday.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, but I didn't know that I should have a suit like Coach Howard over here. I'm not on that level yet, but I run Ohio HS Hoops, and we do a weekly podcast, the Drive to Dayton podcast, where we cover from corner to corner in the state of Ohio, and the two guys that are with me are a big reason why it's so successful.
Well, we appreciate you joining us here this morning. And the first question I'm going to throw out to both of you, because both of you are so locked in the high school basketball scene here in the state of Ohio. I know Richmond Heights we're obviously expect them to be here, but let me ask you, Division 4, we're sitting here right now. When the season tipped off back in November, are these two teams that you expected to be here competing for a D4 state championship here at UD Arena?
Well, first of all, I want to say, Kurt, thank you very much for the compliment.
Styling and profiling.
This is just me. It's Championship Sunday. I knew I was going to be on here all day, and I wanted to look my best. Since I didn't make it to church, I figured I'd go ahead and wear my suit today. But I think they're very two contrasting styles. Richmond Heights, they get the ball up and down the court. They can shoot the ball. They can get to the cup. They defend. They get up on you and defending you, and they'll press you different times throughout the game. And Berlin Highland, I was talking to the coach this morning, and I asked him, I said, Coach, what are you going to do? What is your game plan to attack this Richmond Heights team? And he said, well, Coach, he said, we're just going to have to do what we've been doing all year and just play our game of basketball. And I found out that they've got 4 of their key players that are hurt. You know, two kids with ACL injuries, another kid messed up his knee, and then another kid is in a boot. So, and I said, but you still made it here. I mean, you lost 4 key guys, 3 starters, and you still made it here. But, you know, he's got his hands work cut out for him today.
Yeah, to answer your question, Justin, I think most people around the state, if you have any idea at all, knew that Richmond Heights was going to be here. They're going to be trying as the first team to go back to back to back in Division 4 since Columbus Worley in 88, 89, and 90. So it's kind of cool. 4 divisions started in 88. And this is being the last year of Division 4, Richmond Heights with the opportunity to do it. Here's a little fact, though. Berlin Highland in 92, when they won the state, beat Lima Central Catholic in a classic in the semifinals. Who did they beat on Friday? Lima Central Catholic in the semifinals. I think they're a heavy underdog today, but as Coach Howard mentioned, this is a team that's down 3 starters, and Coach Slayball was able to get this team here. I think most people thought they could get here. I don't know if anybody thought they could win a game when they got here down 3 starters. Just a testament to the program that they have at Berlin Highland, the community that they have, and I will guarantee you that they will come out and make this interesting today.
You have a team in Berlin Highland, again, playing through, obviously massive injuries right now, but they're also coming off a very emotional type of win, and I know these are things that sometimes media kind of fluffs up a little bit, but when you're coming off of a double overtime, buzzer-beating, game-winning win in the semifinals to get to the state championship, that's such an emotional high that you're on, and then you got to come down from it and then immediately start preparing for a juggernaut in Richmond Heights. It was going to be a tough plan and a tough preparation for them no matter what, playing a team like Richmond Heights. But I know this sounds weird, but coming off an emotional win like that, does that momentum help them, or coming off of an emotional roller coaster like that make it more difficult to rise back up to take on a big challenge in Richmond Heights?
Well, it could go either way, but I don't think it really hurts them or doesn't really help them. I think what it shows them, though, is that it shows their toughness on how they can stay in the game and not give up and say, okay, we're okay. Excuse me, but this ain't Lima Central Catholic. It's a totally different team than Lima Central Catholic. But I will tell you this, it can hurt you because as Kurt knows, last year, Pick Central in the semifinal game played Centerville. Sold out place here. They won. In a crazy game. Overtime? Was it overtime?
I think last year was regulation.
Okay. Yeah. Came back the next day and flopped. Totally flopped. Just flopped when everybody thought they was going to win the state. And I think they should have, but you got to give credit to a good hoping team. Yep. That's what happened to them. So everybody said that was the state championship game. They left it all there. Was so happy the whole night. They didn't focus on the next day. You still got a game to play. You agree with that, Kurt?
Yeah, I think the placement of these semifinal games is key. I think if Highland wins that double overtime game yesterday,
yes,
I think today would be almost impossible for them to win. But being that it was Friday, they had a day to kind of reset. You give them a little extra time to game plan for this because those guys are extremely good at game planning. And I think, Highland's got to come out and see some shots go in early. If not, I think it could be an uphill battle.
One thing we've seen a lot of, regardless of the division throughout this entire week, has just been, the game of runs. You'll see a team get out to a huge lead, and you think, oh, man, they're about to run away with it. And then they take their foot off the gas a bit, and that team creeps back into it. Being able to weather the storm a bit early is key, regardless of the opponent, but also winning the first couple minutes of the second half, also always key. Those are the moments of the game that, regardless of division today, is going to play a huge impact, especially this one right off the bat.
Yes, I agree with you. It will, but it's just going to see. You just have to see how both teams are prepared, and how the coaches have adjusted to what they have to do for each team. And that's going to determine the outcome to me. And even during the course of the games, there's going to have to be adjustments made. And we saw some adjustments made yesterday, even sitting there with Kurt yesterday, watching that one of the most exciting games I've seen here in a while. Those coaches made adjustments. And if you know about basketball and you're watching basketball, and when I watch games, I watch to see, okay, this is what's going on over here. Are they going to change something during the course of this game? And when I see adjustments made, that's when you know, hey, this is a chess match going on right now. Let's see who makes the last adjustment. Because I can give you last night, something went wrong in somebody's mind because you can't lose a game like that with 3 fouls to give. But I'm going to leave that to another day, another time. But go ahead.
All right, if you're just joining us here on the OHSA social media pages, we welcome you in. It's our tip-off pregame coverage getting you set for our Division IV state title game coming up here 10:45 a.m. Start with Division IV, 3-2-1 Championship Sunday, all here at the University of Dayton Arena, of course. Berlin Highland, Richmond Heights getting set to go head-to-head, and we'll be sending it down to the floor to the OHSA radio network coming up here momentarily. Quentin Rogers, when it comes to Richmond Heights, we've talked the last couple of days about their brutal schedule. Not really brutal, but it was a schedule to prepare them to do what they're doing today, competing for a state championship. But sometimes you run into opponents who are very, very good. They've had a great season, but you know that you are significantly more talented than. Then you have to coach not the skill set, you have to coach the mental side of it too. When you run into a Rushi who played them very tight, many people thought that Richmond Heights could have run away with that a lot sooner. Rushi played them tighter, but Richmond Heights, to their credit, when push came to shove, they put their foot on the accelerator and said, okay, enough's enough. It's time to end this thing. that is a very unique thing that is interesting about Richmond Heights, especially during this state run, because you run into teams that maybe you're not preparing for at the, early in the season when you're putting those tough teams on your schedule. It becomes more mental than skill set, correct?
Yes, you are right, but I'm going to let Kurt answer that question right there.
Yeah, I think and Coach Howard has known Coach Q for a long time, and I think the challenge that he has today is they played Russia last year, and I think Russia caught him by surprise. Friday, they knew what was coming, and I think that was a testament to just how good Russia was, because Richmond Heights knew it was coming, and they were still right in that game. So I think the challenge for Coach Q today is this. Does his kids think that game on Friday, that was the game? Russia was the game. Because you kids are kids, man. You can have a little bit of a letdown. So is this game a little bit of a letdown for them? It's hard to say in a state championship game, but I do think that's Coach Q's challenge today is, and he's really good at this. He's really good at having his guys ready and prepared. He talked about it in a press conference. He makes practice. Every practice is a war. And every game they play is like that. So I'm looking for the first 4 minutes to see what type of mentality his team has today.
I wanted Kurt to go with that question first because I wanted to hear his input on it. But I will tell you that there's not going to be any type of letdown on this team. There's not going to be any type of, we went through this on Friday, because just like Kurt said, he does have them prepared. I know Q very, very, very well, and as soon as they left here, that game was over. Now we're focused on the game coming up on Sunday, and I think his guys are very, very confident, because you have a very competent coach and a very competent coaching staff that gets his guys prepared. And I think that it'll be a tough game for Berlin-Hyman.
No doubt. And again, Richmond Heights, you don't win as many consecutive state championships as they have if they're not mentally tough, as much mentally tough as they are skill-wise, no doubt about it. All right, as we wrap things up here, I want to start off and send this off with our keys to this game, of course. And again, we've highlighted a lot of the keys to the game, but just to kind of put a bow on it, who would you like me to start with? You want me to throw this to Kurt right off the bat? Keys. We'll start with Coach. Coach, keys to the game for this matchup right off the bat.
I think the keys for the game for Berlin-Hyman is, like Coach said, play your style of basketball game, and let's just show them that we're not going to back down from them. That we're coming at you, we're going to play you mano-mano, and we're going to play you tough, and we're not going to back down, and we're going to play our style of basketball, get our shots, get to our spots, and defend and take away that. The big thing is you want to take away that transition. If you take away their transition and you're there defending, that's going to help you a lot in this game. As far as Richmond is concerned, hey, if I'm Q, I'll say let's just do what we do. Let's just keep pushing the ball. Let's defend. Let's make sure we box out. Make sure we rebound, and let's take away what they do best, shooting the three and running their sets. If both teams do that, then I'll say Richmond will come away with this victory today.
Kurt, for you, keys to the game. I'm really a couple points on each side.
Yeah, so for Richmond Heights, I think you don't have to win the rebounding battle, but you got to keep it close. You have to eliminate live ball turnovers. And one of the biggest thing with Richmond Heights is you got to limit the spurts, because they can hit you with big spurts, and you got to stop that. And for Berlin-Hyman, they've got to see shots go in the basket. And I think for Richmond Heights, as Coach mentioned, they just got to be them. And if they're them for 32 minutes, I mean, they're going to hold the gold trophy.
All right, well, as good as both of these teams are, you don't get to this point unless you have super talented players. We'll, throw it out, we'll send it out with this. Just a couple players you guys have your eyes on for this matchup. Players that you think are going to have a significant impact on the result and the outcome of this.
I think for Berlin-Hyman, this kid may not get talked about. Alex Miller is going to have to handle the ball well for them. I think Sammy Detweiler is going to play well. He's a stud. But I think you saw on Friday, Nick Wigden is the guy that has to come up big today for them. He's got to get 15 to 20 for them to have a shot today. Richmond Heights, They had some foul trouble on Friday, so I look for the guys like Wilson and Steele to play really well today. Everybody knows that Barber's going to do what he does, and Jones is probably the most talented player here. But look for Steele and Wilson to have big games today.
Now, he just took everything out of my mouth. But what I will say is, this is how I'm going to answer that question is, Berlin Highland and Richmond Heights are the keys to their games today. So that means every player on that floor for Berlin Highland and every player on that floor for Richmond Heights are going to be the keys to winning that game, because if they all do what they're supposed to do and take it up another level, then that's what needs to be done. But if both teams do that, I think Richmond Heights will come away with the win.
Prime example of that, Berlin Highland talked about all the players that are out injured. That next guy up mentality, that's what has pushed them here to this Division IV state championship game against Richmond Heights, and that's a perfect example of that right there. Well, guys, I appreciate both of your time this morning. Great way to tip things off here. Championship Sunday here at the University of Dayton Arena. Again, it's time to crown a Division IV state champion. Berlin Highland, Richmond Heights. That wraps it up for our tip-off pregame coverage. We now send it down to the floor for the OHSAA Radio Network as they take over and continue to get you set for Division IV state title action.